Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Monday, March 6th, 2023. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Monday, everyone. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. Right now, you'll notice a super narrow range has developed here in overnight and pre-market trading, just 35% of average range and 20.75 points of total range on the day. This market's been averaging about 60 points per day for the most part over the last 10 sessions. A couple of big days in there as well. Otherwise, it's been mostly lower range days here within range. We did have that upside expansion day on Friday, now holding within narrow ranges at the previous session's high and close, which are basically one and the same almost for most of these markets as they close on the highs on Friday. So that's going to be the early level to watch. The previous session's high close is also the previous week's high close, and if there's a rejection there, we could be looking at a quick snapback to the previous week's midpoints. 39.89 would be that level for the ES. So if there's any kind of failure here to get through the 40.60 level up here, 40.50, 40.60, if there's a failure to push through that zone, we may start to work our way back down. So this is about 40.60 right here. If you recall, it was prior support right here, right here. It gave it up. It dropped down. This is our first major retest at this point. This is what we talked about to begin the month, especially during the monthly outlook. We might start the month with early strength, but what happens when we get here? On a retest from below of that major support that gave out, does it turn to resistance again and turn us back down? Or can this market push through and open up the previous highs back toward 4,200? This is going to be a big time test here early in the week. All right, let's take a look here at the NQ. Similar price action here with the narrow price range here heading into the RTH Open. 43% of average range right now, 101 points of range. Been averaging about 235 points of range over a 10-day basis. Again, most of that a little bit smaller here, a couple of high range days. Friday was one of those. After this big move up, again, we're coming back to retest big levels from below here. This is the previous quarter's high. Recall how price pushed through the previous quarter's high, took the close bid, took the mid bid, went right to the high, and went beyond the high. And then up here, hit some key levels, dropped back down off the 12.8, and is now retesting the previous high from below. So again, this is going to be an important zone here. 12.4, 12.350, right in that zone. Just like the ES, if there's a rejection here or reaction that turns price down, we could be looking at another rotation back down. If price can push through 12.4 and find acceptance above that zone, you open up a retest back toward 13K up above. So key level here early on in the week for the NQ. Let's take a look here at crude oil. Crude oil down 1.25% right now. We've had a pretty solid rotation back up. Friday, huge outside day up. That was a tremendous reaction that developed during Friday's market here. That was right at the RTH Open. Big drop down, outside reversal back up, and a strong finish. And now you're seeing a little bit of a pullback here. Bulls want to defend the early weakness this morning and this week for a shot at pushing this thing back up and across the range. 82 to 83 is that upside target zone up here. After working its way from the bottom of the range, chopping around the middle a little bit, we could be looking at some directional bias to the upside up ahead as long as price can continue to hold above 78. Taking a look at gold futures. Gold right now holding inside range at the moment. 60% of ADR, 11.3 points of range. It's been averaging 20 points of range exactly over the last 10 sessions, and right now inside day within an upward bias over the last 5 days. That's pretty tremendous, especially since that major rejection that happened February 2nd. Price had been trending downward ever since. We finally saw a decent low come into play on the very last trading day of the month, and since then we've had a decent bounce back up, a nice recovery of the 1840, 1850 zone, and now holding. So a nice continuation to the upside at the moment. This inside day could lead to further strength back up as price looks to retest 1900 from below. So right now, very modest strength here at the moment. And as long as price can continue to hold above 1830, we could be looking at a push back toward 1900 up above. Lastly, taking a look at the YM, the Dow here with a big bounce. We talked about the importance of 32,600 over here, 32,600 to 32,750, big time support, 34.5 on the upper end of the range here. Got a big time squeeze on Friday, inside, rather not an inside day, but a very narrow range of price action right now, just 25% of ADR with an upward bias, which means, again, right now if price were to drop down, we could be looking at bulls picking up into that weakness and pushing this thing back up. You have about 33.9 up here and up to 34.5 up here that could be seen up ahead if this thing really starts to bounce. Now, like the ES and like the NQ, if on this bounce here we start to see a failure right here, this is the breakdown point where price broke down and dropped. Here's your retest. That's the retest point right here. Can price push through that retest point and open up the upside? Or is this a point where we start to see lower highs and a rejection occur? So big time level here to keep an eye on. That's going to be right here at the previous month's midpoint, 33,560. So keep an eye on that zone. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this develops heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and we'll see you in the trading room. Take care.